Hi, my name is Brioche and I'm the developer of the Kissmyrank plugin for the Assetto Corsa server. Today I'm going to show you how to install it and how to capture your first track, as these are the two questions that I get asked the most. So the first thing that you would do to install the Kissmyrank plugin is to head over to Race Department and download the Kissmyrank plugin. Alright, here it is. So as you see inside, there are two folders, one for the Windows installation and one for the Linux installation. Well, all you have to do is to just extract the file to the Assetto Corsa dedicated server folder. I'm assuming you already know how to install the dedicated server. One version of the dedicated server is included inside your game installation in the server folder. Otherwise, you can go to Steam. Under Windows, you can go to Steam Tools and double click the Assetto Corsa dedicated server, just as I did this time. But yeah, the files inside the folder are the same. So in my case, I'm using Windows, so I'm going to extract the folder to the Assetto Corsa dedicated server folder. Alright, so now all you have to do is to just open and double click the AC Kissmyrank Windows exe. So here we are. The first time you run the plugin, it asks you if you want to run the setup wizard. So you would just press enter to confirm. The next question is about the Assetto Corsa local server IP address. If you run the plugin on the same machine where you run the Assetto Corsa dedicated server, you would just press enter to confirm the localhost address. And the same goes with the next question. You have to press enter another time. So the next question is about the UDP port that you would like to use for the plugin. In our case, since this port is free and we are running no other plugin on this server, we just confirm with enter. Otherwise, you would pick a port. The next question is about the Kissmyrank webstats port. This is the port on which the plugin will host, the webstat page, the one where you see the live map and the rankings and the race control and all that sort of stuff. On this question, you would only change if your ISP, Internet Service Provider, blocks port 80, or for example, if you're running on Linux, non-root processes cannot run ports below, I think, 1024. So in that case, you would use a port that is above and then make a redirection. And another case in which you would have to change this port if it's being used by something else. But in our case, there is nothing else that is using the port. So I will just confirm port 80. And the next question is the Kissmyrank auth port. The auth is used by the Assetto Corsa server to ask to the plugin if a driver can join the server. So this is an important port. You just should check that this port is not being used by other programs and press enter. So on the next step, the plugin asks us to open the Assetto Corsa server gfg.ini. So that's what we're going to do. Inside the Assetto Corsa dedicated server folder, there is a gfg folder. You open it and then you edit the server gfg.ini with your favorite text editor. So here we are. So the plugin asks us to press enter, and that's what we do. The next question is, what is HTTP port set to? So we are going to look in the settings and find HTTP port. In our case, it's set to 8081. So that's what I'm going to write here. I could just press enter because it's the default one, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So the next question is, what is max client set to? In our case, it is set to 18. So I'm going to type here 18. So the next question is, what is UDP plugin local post set to? In our case, it's set to 0 because I just, extracted the Assetto Corsa dedicated server. So we have to pick a port. In our case, we can use 8004, and we set here the same. All right. So the next step says that we should set UDP plugin address to this value. So we just copy it from here and pass it here. So we can go on with the next step. The next step says that we should set our plugin address to this address. So we do the same. We copy it from here, including the question mark, and pass it here. All right. So we can press enter. So we can now save the service gfg.ini and go on with the next question. Okay, so the next question is about the absolute path to the Assetto Corsa executable. This is the server executable that you use to launch the server. In our case, for Windows, it's inside the Assetto Corsa dedicated server folder, and it's called acserver.x. While on Linux, it will be this one, acserver. As you can see, this question is optional. If you do not want the plugin to manage the Assetto Corsa server, but you prefer to start it manually and then launch the plugin, you can type skip in this question. If instead you want the plugin to automatically start the server when you start it, then you would have to fill this one. In our case, for the purpose of this demo, I will fill it. So what you're going to do is to just copy the path here of the Assetto Corsa executable and then pass it here. So as you can see, the plugin sends us a notice that when the track rotation is active, Kissmyrank will start the Assetto Corsa server. In this case, please do not run the Assetto Corsa server before you launch the plugin. This is exactly what I told you before. If you don't want this to happen, you just type skip to the previous question. So the next question is the path of the Assetto Corsa server gfg.ini. In our case, it's under, it's here under gfg. So it's this one, as you can see. And as you can see, the plugin already suggests the correct path. So all we have to do is to type enter. So the next question is about the Assetto Corsa log folder. This is the folder inside which Assetto Corsa puts the log. And in our case, it's on this path, so it's already correct. It is important that you set this folder because the log file is automatically parsed and used to determine the user language when he joins the server. If you don't do this properly, there will be problems with the language detection. So the next question is, would you like to use the Kissmyrank money point system? So the money point system is very useful to moderate public servers and to keep wreckers out. But when you run a league, you do not probably need the money system. So this is the point where you can make your choice to use or not to use the money system. In our case, for the purpose of this tutorial, I will just press enter and go with the money system. So the next question is about using minor rating plugin on the server. This is basically an helper to configure the relay feature of the Kissmyrank plugin. Kissmyrank can act as an intermediary between the Assetto Corsa server and other plugins. Basically, you can imagine it as a hub that connects the Assetto Corsa server to an unlimited number of other plugins. You can add as many plugins as you want. Just go in the README and check how you do it. If you need help, you can write me over the Assetto Corsa or the race department forum. So in our case, I will just press enter and go with no. So now we are done with the first time configuration. The most important settings are set, and the next step would be to just press enter and start the plugin. If instead you want to change the gameplay settings before you start the plugin, you just go here and to the Kissmyrank folder and edit the config.johnson with your favorite editor. Inside here you can find a lot of options where you can configure pretty much everything of the plugin. For example, this is the track rotation. This is what we were talking about for forwarding the traffic to other plugins. Then you have other important points down here. You have you can set custom welcome messages for your server, and here you got other important parts, which are the penalty cost map, which binds every infraction that is possible to a price for every session. You can fully customize this. And then there is another important part here, which is the penalty action map, where you can bind infraction to action, for example, a drive-through in one lap, or a kick, or a temporary ban. You can just read the instructions here. And finally, there is another important penalty map here, which maps every infraction to the infraction counter increment. So, for example, if there is a track boundary cut, this will tell the plugin to increment the counter by 1. And when a max infraction is reached, the penalty that you set here will apply. So you can specify max infraction too. It's one of the options. So this gives you access to everything, also the virtual safety car, the race accident response, drive-through, and all the kind of stuff can be configured in here. So anyway, the next step is just press enter to start the plugin. So in the second part of the tutorial, I will show you how to capture the track. First of all, let me explain why you need to capture the track. Kissmyrank uses custom track boundary definitions in order to assess the driver behavior, in order to validate lap times, so that you can have reliable leaderboards, and also to show the real-time live map and the race control replays. The standard Kissmyrank package comes with a file called tracks.johnson, and that file contains some definitions that I made for the default tracks. But when you use a modded track, you need to teach how the track is to Kissmyrank. This is done very easily, but by just driving your car around the track and launching some commands. And yeah, basically defining a track means to capture the track boundaries, then capturing the pit area, drawing the pit exit line, and drawing the pit entry speed limit line, which is for speeding into the pit lane. And then the final part is just creating junctions. Junctions are just the piece of road that goes from the track into the pits. It's used to make the map consistent, and yeah, it's only a static thing. The important thing is the pit area, which is used for drive-through, and the track boundaries, which are used for lap time validation and, you know, to detect cuts and stuff like that. So for the goal of this tutorial, I'm going to use the web admin console because I'm running the server remotely, and this will allow us to access it. So in order to do that, you need to open the config.johnson and set a web admin console password. In my case, I will set my web admin console password. All right. And also we will set the race control password, which is used to access the track editor, the web track editor, which allows us to refine the track boundary definitions. So I will set this to my race control password. Okay, so once you did this, you have to restart the plugin. Then the web admin console and the race control features will be enabled. In order to access to the web admin console, you need to load the web stats page, which is your IP address and the port that you used during the first launch setup wizard. If the port is 80, you can skip this part. But for the purpose, for the server I'm using, I need to specify it. And then you type Kissmyrank admin. So it's your IP address / Kissmyrank _ admin. And if you type this, you will see the web admin console. Now, in order to log in, you need to type login and your password, which is whatever you set in the config.johnson. In my case was my web admin password. Alright, so when you type it, you will see the full console output just as it appears in the server application. For the purpose of this tutorial, I removed tracks.johnson completely, so it's empty, and I'm going to define this track, which is the Monza Junior track, which is already into tracks.johnson, so you don't need to do that. So the first thing to do is to set the name of the track, which is the name that will appear in the track list in the web stats page. We can use the track set name command and use Monza 66 Junior as the name. So as you can see, the plugin says that the track name is now Monza 66 Junior. So the next very important thing to do is to set the length of the track in meters, and you do it with the tracks set length, and we're going to use you can look up the track in several places, the track length, on the Assetto Corsa database or whatever, or Wikipedia or whatever. In our case, we will use 2,466 meters. I don't know if this is perfectly correct, but yeah, should be a good estimate. So as you can see now, the length of the track is set to 2,466 meters, just like I said. So now that we set these two parameters, we can start the track capturing process. Alright, so I joined the server and I'm now ready to capture the track. You can see the console on the right and Assetto Corsa on the left. So let's get started by recording the left track boundary. In order to do this, we need to launch the player list command and get our ID, which is the one that we will use for recording. Once we did that, in our case it's 0, we need to launch the track boundary set left command and use our ID 0. So it's track boundaries on left space 0. And when you launch this command, you see that the server informs us that the recording will start when we cross the start finish line. So I will run an outlap now and park my car before the start finish line. So now I'm going to ride a full lap with the car just outside the truck, like this. Recording will start when I cross the line. You do not need to, you must not speed over 102 kilometers or whatever speed advice you there, but I recommend to remain under 60 kilometers per hour to have a better recording. The track here is not very well defined, so I will do something like this, but you can do whatever you want. But keep in mind that when you define a boundary, anyone crossing that boundary, even if you exclude the area, will have his lap time invalidated. So you should ride your car in a position where if someone goes over that, he gets his time invalidated. So in this case there is a wall, and it doesn't matter much because cars cannot go past this line because there is a wall. But yeah, in other cases you might want to ride, for example, here in a place where you're sure that the time should be validated when the guy goes there. So now I'm riding the full lap outside the truck, and the recording will automatically be saved when I reach the finish line. You can leave a bit of space just like this, or go more close, but keep in mind that different cars have different widths, so you can be a bit relaxed, especially in places like this, like a straight. The definition is really up to you. If you want to, for example, capture curves or leave them outside, it's entirely up to you and to your league rules. So, as you can see, when I crossed the line, the track boundary was defined and I got a penalty, but this is my test server, so I got a bit of money there. I shouldn't worry about. So let's go and do the same for the right track boundary. So for the right track boundary, I will launch the same command. Alright, and use my car ID, which is 0, and then press enter. Now we have to again to drive the outlap, and the recording will start when I cross the boundary, sorry, the start finish line. So now when I cross the line, the recording will start again. Okay, as you can see, the recording has now started. I'm going to ride again on the other side of the track as far as to the right as I can, or as a driver should be allowed to go without his lap time being validated. So now there is an area where a user could cut, so yeah, I'm not very precise right now, but you get the meaning. So now we have to ride again all over the track without speeding too much. As you can see, it's a bit expensive to run this kind of capturing when damage is on. I recommend that you reset the, the morning after you run this, or you use a separate server just like I do. So now you just run your car outside the track. If a point doesn't go, if your car doesn't turn enough on some turns, you should try to choose a car that has a better steering angle. I'm using the 458 for this, but you can use any car. Some of the guys have modded the cars that have very good steering and also do not have the bodywork and everything, so you can see directly the track and where the wheels are. So now there is an important part. You do not need to enter the pits. The pits are captured separately. We'll do them later. So now I'm going straight for the track. Alright, so right now also the right track boundary is defined. So at this point you might want to run a couple of commands which are going to exclude both the right and the left track boundary. This is required because otherwise people would get a penalty for nothing, or for example if they outbrake themselves or whatever. There are some areas that do not give any advantage, and there are only particular area of the track where you want to give a penalty. So you do this. So for the moment I'll just exclude the old track and then go and include the areas that I want to be considered a cut. So let's do this with the track boundary. All track exclude left command, and the track boundary all track exclude right command. So now all the track is excluded, and if I go over the boundary I will not get a penalty. I will then later include the areas. So the next step is to capture the pit area. So as next step I would go on and define the pit entry speed limit line, which is the line where a driver crossing at more than 80 kilometers per hour will get a penalty. So we go to the start of the pits with our car. Let's say we want to place it here. Let's use the pilot head as the reference and place down the line. In order to do this, you go to the console and type cut line drawer begin, this comment. So this defines, starts the sketch of the cut line. Then the next command is that you need to set the name. So cut line drawer set name, and this is, needs to have a particular name, which is pit entry speed limit line. Okay, so you press enter, just like that. So now the line has a name, and then you need to run the set max speed command and set the speed to 80, which is the pit speed limit. So it's cut line drawer set max speed space 80. So now we did that too, and now we're going to set the first point of the cut line, which is going to be a line that goes from left to right and closes the pits. So this command requires the ID of your car, and so you have to position the car in the point where you want the line to start and exactly where I parked it, and run the command like this: cut line drawer and set first point 0, where 0 is the ID of your car get with the player list command. So now we set the first point. Now we drive the car to the second point, which is going to be on the other side. Say here. Okay, maybe a bit to the back. All right, so, and we run the set second point command. So cut line drawer set second point, okay, with our car ID, which is 0. And so we set the second point, and then we can save it. So when we run the cut line drawer save, our temporary sketch becomes permanent, so the line will be active. So if now I run the cut line list command, we will see that there is my line there, which is the pit entry speed limit line. So I'm gonna make a test now. So as you see, I got a penalty for pit lane speeding, and that's exactly what we want. So the next step now is to define the pit area. The pit area is required to know if a driver is in the pits, and also it is required for drive-through penalty and stuff like that. So what you're going to do is to place a car on the first, on the same place where the pit begin. In this case, I place it here, and then you launch the pit boundary set left begin, which is the command to begin the definition of the left pit boundary, and then you use your car ID, which is 0, always the same number that you got with the player list command, and start defining it. So as you can see, the max speed for this definition is going to be 45 kilometers per hour, and you must not reverse. In the track boundary, you can reverse to refine a point. Here, you cannot reverse in any case. So you just go forward slowly along the pit boundary. Oh yeah, there I make a mistake, but anyway, you can be more precise for the goal of this. I'm just going to run with some approximation. Yeah, we should stop when the speed limit goes off a bit sooner, because otherwise, if you stop too late, the drive-through will abort, because the guy will speed over 80 before the pit limiter, the pit ends in your definition. So that's not going to happen. If I finish the pit a bit earlier, it's always better. So I'm gonna pause my car with the front just a little before the line where the bit limiter goes off. So I need to run the bit boundary set left end command now, which is run always with the same ID. So now I did that, and I'm going to define the right one. Alright, so the next step is going to be defining the right boundary, which is done with the bit boundary set right begin command, and the ID is 0. Alright, so let's go. Remember not to speed over 35 kilometers per hour when you do this kind of definition. It's very important that you stay the more to the right that you can, because of the way the bit detection works. So let's say that I stop here and maybe a bit more. Yeah, let's say here. So I'm gonna run the bit boundary set right end command now. Perfect. So now we got the bit boundary. So this is the time when you have defined the track and the bits. So this is the moment when you can open the live map for the first time. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm gonna click live map now. Let me do like this. Alright, so I'm gonna zoom out. Okay, so oh shit, a bit too much. Let's do like this and follow the driver. Alright, let's do 0.3. Okay, so this is our track, as you can see, has been captured. But as you can see, there is a problem because the bit is not connected to the track. So we need a way to draw these two areas which are missing, and this is the accessory boundary feature, which allows you to draw a section of the track which are not important for the boundary or for the bit definition, but are important for the completing the map. So we're going to do them now, and I will show you how to do it. It's always the same stuff. So let's go back to the previous configuration, and 1 second. Okay. So now we need to define the bit exit junction, which bounds, which links, the bit to the track. So in order to define that, we go to the accessory boundary set right begin and 0, and which is the ID of our car, and then we give a name to it. The name is completely up to you, but I use standard names because yeah, it's easier to know what they are. So I call this bit exit junction. All right, so we start, so then we go further to the place where the track, yeah, we can go like this till here. Maybe I went just a bit too much, but anyway, we can fix it later. So accessory boundaries set left and set right and 0. This is to complete the right boundary of the bit exit junction. that is going to be expensive. So now we can draw the right one. This track has a very short line. We could just park it before, actually. But anyway, I'm gonna... So now we go with this command, which is similar to the one that we ran before. Accessory boundary is a left begin 0 pit exit junction. We run it. Then once again, we just do this small portion. Yeah, just like that. Doesn't mean to be bigger. Does need to be bigger. So then we run the accessory boundary is a left end 0 command. So now the pit exit junction has been defined. So we can go here and see it on the map. As you can see now, it's linked. It's not going to be perfect. Going to show. Let's use a zoom of 10. As you can see, it's not perfect at the moment. We can refine it later, especially there. So let's define the pit entry junction before, and then I will show you how to refine this kind of definition. So here we go. Let's go to the start of the pits. Okay, so what we need now is to, oh, wait a second. Okay, so we need to run the accessory boundaries that left begin 0 pit entry junction command now, and then we ride with our car to the end, to the entry. Alright, so set left hand 0. Okay, so now let's do the same for the right. Now on this track, if you remember, I started the right pit boundary on the grass, so I need to make the junction go to the grass too. So this is the pit entry junction, always the same command, accessory boundaries at right begin 0 pit entry junction. And then I go there. Oh wait. If you do a mistake just like I did now, you just speed over 60 kilometers per hour, and the recording will be aborted. Then you can start over. So run the command again. Alright, so let's go there. You can go a bit further, it's not very important, it's just cosmetic stuff. Alright, so now we should have defined the pit entry junction. and we can check it on the map. Actually, you do not need to close the map every time. I close it because I do not have enough screen space. The map will update as soon as you define new areas or change it. So this is the definition of, as you can see, wait, I'm gonna, so as you can see there, it's not perfect, but we will refine it now. So as you can see here, there is our speed entry limit line. It's defined up to the grass because otherwise someone could speed into the pits or over the grass and would not get a penalty. So now we have to refine this. But before I go on to the refining track part, let me draw the pit exit line. This is very important because you do not want persons that exit the pit to destroy other people after lap or stuff like that. In our case, the pit exit line, the definition, we can use this line. Okay, so you're gonna park the car where the line begins. For example, we can do here, and then it's the same stuff as I did before. So let me close the map. And we start the cut line drawer sketch with the cut line drawer begin command. Then we set the name, and in this case you need to use a particular name, pit exit line. If you make a multi-line, you would need to use $1 for the first one, 2 for the second one, 3 for the third one. In our case, the line is straight, so we are going to just define one line. So you can skip the $sign part and just use pit exit line. So then we need to set the speed. The set max speed, in our case, we want people that cross the line at any speed to get a penalty, so we can use 0. And then we want only people in the outlap to get a penalty, so we are going to use the outlap only flag. So cut line drawer toggle outlap only. Okay. So this makes sure that people that are in the outlap or in the race will not get a penalty if they cross it. But only people that get out from pits will get a penalty. So then we need to set the first point with the ID of our car. So cut line drawer set first point 0. As you can see, the point was set. And now we drive to the end of the line. Which is around here. You park your car in the center of the line, so that the center of the car is aligned to the line, and you draw, you set the second point with the ID of your car, which is 0. Cut line drawer set second point 0. So now the line is set, and then you save the line with the cut line drawer save command. Alright, so the line is there now. You can see it on the map. There it is. You can see the line. Wait, I'm going to zoom out a bit. You can see that there is the line that I defined. Yeah, then my car is exactly over it. You can see. All right. So okay. Now, as you can see, the line is already active. If I'm going to the pits and then I'm going out and I cross the line, I get the penalty for crossing the pit exit line. The reason for which you need to use that very name, pit exit line, when you define it is because it's bound to the special penalty, which is for the pit exit line crossing. You can define cut lines all over the track if you want, if there are particular places where you want people, you don't want people to go. But yeah, the main ones are for the pit entry speed limit line and for the pit exit line. So now we are almost done with the track definition. We need to refine a few things. For example, we need to define if there are areas where we want the cut to be considered, and also to refine a bit the junction between the pit entry and the pit exit with the track. So in order to do that, we need to go to race control and type in our race control password, my race control password. And once we are logged in, we open the event viewer on the driving the pit exit violation that we did before. And as you can see here, there is an edit track button. So here you can select the various sections of the track. As you can see, these are all the points for the track. Then we can select the pit area, the pit entry junction, and the pit exit junction. So we want, for example, to redefine this. So as you can see here, there is we can probably make it a little bit better. So to select a point, you just click on it. To deselect it, you click the right mouse button. To move it, you just click deselect it and then click the position where you want to move it. For example, here, as you can see, the result is not so nice, so we can place it back where it was. So as you can see, if I place it here, it tends the boundary of this area is interpolated. So if you want to have it a sharp ending, you need to angulate it a little like this, and as you can see, it will be there. In our case, it can be a bit better if I place this here and this here. Oh, there you go, much better. So now we refine the ending like this, yeah, like this, to make it a bit better. So now we got a nice looking ending, and the trick is always to make it a bit, make a little angle that goes toward the track like this. So now you can see that the boundary is much better, and yeah, you can probably refine it a bit here too. Yeah, like that, and then you can go here and see if the junction is good, and move around the points if you need. When you're done with your changes, don't forget to click Save All and wait for the save notification in order to send all of your changes to the plugin. An important point when you use the track is never move points in this direction, only move points in this direction. This is only applies to the track. You should never touch the track if you can. You should do a good capture and then do not touch it. So as you can see, these light blue points are excluded areas, but for example, if someone cuts here, which is the first turn, we want the track to this to be considered a cut, and in order to do this, we need to include this area. So in order to do this, we need to go back to the Kissmyrank admin, drive a car to the section that we want to be considered. So let's say that we want to consider this section of the track. So in order to do this, we need to launch the track boundary include right begin command. Okay, with the ID of our car, which is always 0. So there you go, and then we go on. In the old section that we want to consider, let's say until here, I think. So now that we are here, I'm gonna run the track boundary include left and command, include right and command with my car ID. So there you go. And if I go to the track, as you can see, the dots turned to dark blue, and this means that this boundary is now included. So if I'm going to make a cut here, let's say that as you can see, we got a penalty for cutting the track. And you can do it for other areas. For example, let me see. For example, let's say this is the entry and it goes up until there. Then you go how far? Up to the straight. Let's say that here we want to punish if someone goes too wide on this turn. You can go wide and probably gain here. So so we run the command like this: track boundary include left begin 0, and yeah, we go up until, let's say, here. Otherwise, if you go further on, you will lose. So yeah, let's do it like this, and then you run the track boundary include left hand 0. Sorry, and yeah, then you have the boundary defined. And so now if you see on the track here, the boundary has turned to dark blue, which means if a car goes wide here and then rejoins the track, not losing enough time, it will get a penalty. This concludes our tutorial. I hope this video was useful to explain what you can do with Kissmyrank. If you have any question, you can write to me over the race department forum or the Assetto Corsa forum. I will do my best to help. This is all for now. Have fun and take care.